It's been a little difficult for us because we're used to being out in front of customers, but with social distancing and with travel restrictions, it's hard to get out there. We find ourselves resorting more toward webinars now, and we're trying to deliver that content online. I find that I do a lot more interactive demos using products, using video, or even showing installed products that I've had to install in my house to show to customers so they can see how they work. And now we're significantly more reliant on our website. And thankfully, it's been updated. It's easier to find information. We have all the spec sheets and everything on there. But more importantly, we have all the application guides. We have other tools that you can use to design your projects. And those are what we're referring customers to. We use those for them to go through and do layouts. And then there's other tools like visual controls where the customer can actually go through and do their own layout. From there, they can take those layouts and they can send them to us. And then we can go through and we can look at their applications, make sure that they didn't miss anything. And from there, we can give them a stamp of approval on their drawings or tell them what changes they need to make or make those changes for them. Well, it's still a little too soon to tell, to be perfectly honest with you. I know when I go to the grocery store or other stores, I see they have new occupancy signs up there, and they've cut the occupancy in half or even a quarter for the building. So it's still too hard to tell how business owners are going to respond to this current pandemic and what may exist in the future. To be perfectly honest with you, we are seeing a significant increase in requests for gestural motion. And at this point, I just don't see gestural motion becoming something that customers are going to use on every application. Those switches are more expensive than the standard switches and significantly more expensive. And lighting controls don't typically get a high budget within the average project. So the most obvious question is how do we get around that? How do we give the customers the comfort to use their controls? They also want better information for how they clean their switches. So we've made more of that publicly available for how they should clean their switches if they want to make sure that their switches are safe to use and to touch. But beyond that, the energy code generally tends to push towards a manual on operation, what we see most customers design to. But the energy code also does allow for automatic on and turning the lights on to no more than 50%. So we're providing customers information for how they do that, and they generally find that that's a better application than network lighting controls together. Acuity has a lot of resources that can help you develop a sequence of operation. You can either do it through an Excel spreadsheet, or you can use a tool that we have online like Methodic, or even our visual controls tool. And when you go through and you put in your building type, your application, it'll tell you how to lay it out and what the recommended sequence of operation is. You can also write that out in a controls narrative if you choose to. But if you're looking for more resources, we have a AIA presentation on how to develop a sequence of operation, and it will go through and show you how to do it. We would recommend you take common space types like all the private offices, all the open offices, all the restrooms, and give them the same design criteria. So that way when people go into a space, there's a predictable outcome. The lights always respond the same way. They know how they should work. We would recommend you network your lighting controls. So traditionally, lighting controls are standalone. Each room is installed and it stays by itself. But if you take those and you connect them all together on a lighting control backbone, they would all tie back into a front-end controller, and from there you could use software or some other tool to connect to your entire lighting control system. Once you have that, you can make easy changes to your system. You can reconfigure it any way you want, and really networking your lighting controls is really the best thing to do going forward. In 2017, DLC published a report on network lighting controls, and they reported that in network lighting controls, you could get an average of 47% savings within your facility by having them installed and operational with good sequence of operation. If you were to do that, the other thing it gives you is the ability to easily reconfigure your space. So if you are in a situation where you have a pandemic, you'd like to change your lights from automatic on to manual on, or manual on to automatic on, You can easily do that through the software front end. I've seen a lot of customers who start to look at putting in profiles where they could easily go in and upload them, and it would automatically reconfigure all their lights from manual on to automatic on and set them to no more than 50%. What we find is when customers start doing this, they evaluate their lights and they realize that the lights don't always have to turn on to 100%. So after they start adjusting manual on to auto on or vice versa, they find that they can adjust the high-end trims, they can shorten the time delays in the occupancy sensors, and there's other energy savings that can occur. And when you have a network solution, you can go through and you can make those globally very, very quickly. The other thing is when you have a network lighting control solution, you can go through and you can integrate the building automation. So using BACnet or other REST API integration, you can easily tie into building automation and find that not only can you save energy on your lighting controls, but you can save on your HVAC also.